Mazuma TV back in the building, man. What's going on, y'all? Shout out to Mazuma Nation. Shout out to the Mazuma Mob. We in the building as always, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive day. Me, I'm about to be on my way to go get it as always, man. I hope y'all doing the same, man. On the road to 2K, man. We about to hit that 1,800 mark in due time, man. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. All right, y'all. I'm back at y'all with some boxing talk, man. Shout out to Mill City Boxing for providing his platform for Jose Benavidez Sr., man. He's been snapping with the content, you know what I mean? Been bringing top trainers and fighters on the platform, and, you know, getting them to speak their mind and stuff like that. So shout out to Mill City for giving me the inspiration to make this video. And in the video, man, Jose Benavidez Sr. spoke on the whole Canelo Alvarez situation, him wanting 150 to 200 million to fight David Benavidez and stuff like that. And, you know, just speaking on that whole situation. But what I'm going to get into specifically and what he said was the card that, you know, will be announced in due time. And that'll be Gervonta Davis versus Frank Martin. You know what I'm saying? And there's been a lot of, you know, speculation as to when that fight is going to happen. A lot of people are saying in the middle of June and stuff like that. But what really caught my eye was the undercard that's going to go along with this pay-per-view event. And it happens to be David Benavidez versus Alexander Volzdik for the WBC interim title at light heavyweight. You know what I mean? And then Rayo Valenzuela versus Edwin de los Santos in the rematch, man. So, yo, that is absolutely lit, man. I don't know how anybody else feels about this, but I absolutely love that card right there, man. That's an action-packed card because it got action-packed fighters on the motherfucker, man. Gervonta Davis, about as one of the most exciting fighters in the entire sport of boxing. Frank Martin, you know, he's a come forward, try to go get you. You know what I'm saying? He a stepper. You know what I mean? So that's going to be due for a great stylistic matchup. Then we going into David Benavidez. Like I said, one of the most exciting fighters in the sport of boxing, you know, just a fan favorite in all honesty. Going up against Alexander Volzdik, who has some great boxing ability. You know what I mean? He got some experience fighting at the top level. He's beat Adonis Stevenson. He's fought Artur Beterbiev for a unification fight at one point in time. So, you know, he's a game fighter. You know what I mean? He definitely got some pop as well because I had a former pro fighter of mine, you know, be a chief sparring partner in his camp leading up to Artur Beterbiev. You see what I mean? So I know Alexander Volzdik pretty well from that standpoint. Then we got Rayo Valenzuela versus Edwin de los Santos, man. And if y'all watch that first fight, you know, these guys traded knockdowns. They hit each other with some vicious shots, you know what I mean? Some vicious punches was exchanged in that fight, you know what I mean? Both of these guys got hurt in the course, you know what I mean? It just so happened that Edwin de los Santos was able to, you know, implement his game plan better, you know what I mean? He was able to stay more focused. He was able to be more resilient at that point in time, and he was able to stop Rayo Valenzuela. Since then, Rayo Valenzuela has went on and, you know, had a controversial loss to Chris Colbert. But, you know, he turned it around, rematched Chris Colbert, and he had one of the knockouts of the year, in all honesty, man. So that's the type of tear that, you know, I guess Rayo out here looking for revenge, man. He trying to right all his wrongs. You know, he trying to get on his Lennox Lewis shit and avenge all his losses that he had. You see what I mean? He already avenged one, and he's looking to avenge the other. So I'm really looking forward to seeing who comes out on top and if this fight will be any similar to the first one. Because if so, that shit is going to be a banger, man. So, yo, PBC definitely, if this actually turns out to be true, you know, Jose Benavidez Sr. confirmed it. You know what I mean? It seems as if he's really confident that it's going to unfold on Gervonta Davis's and Frank Martin's undercard. That's a hell of a card right there, man. I believe that's pay-per-view worthy. Whenever you got David Benavidez and Gervonta Davis on the same card, I'm definitely putting my money up, bro. You know, I think they just waiting for a location to be locked in and stuff like that. Most likely it's going to be in Vegas or California or something like that. That's definitely a West Coast fight, in my opinion, considering the fact that they're going to have like two West Coast guys on the card. You know what I mean? And David Benavidez and Rayo Valenzuela and stuff like that. But if it happens to be on the East Coast somewhere in New York or something, I'm definitely taking a trip over there. You know, I'm putting my money up, and we definitely about to have a good time. You know what I mean? But, yo, shout out to Al Heyman and PBC for putting this together, man, because this is definitely a lit fucking card, bro. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Frank Martin and Gervonta Davis match up against each other. You know what I mean? I got Gervonta Davis as a favorite, obviously going into this fight with Frank Martin. I believe that fight doesn't go 12 rounds. David Benavidez versus Alexander Volzdik. I'm Very, very excited to see how David Benavidez looks at the 175-pound weight class. Is he going to look stronger? You know what I mean? Is he going to be just as fast? Is his combination punches still going to be flowing? How is he going to react fighting a guy who's actually a full-fledged light heavyweight, Alexander Volzdik? You know what I mean? Because typically at 168, David Benavidez is the bigger man. You feel what I mean? But going up to 175, you know, it's going to be somebody that's more on his, more on the realm of his size. You know what I mean? So how is he going to approach that? Is he still going to be the Mexican monster? We just going to have to wait and see. And Rayo Valenzuela versus Chris Colbert. Chris Colbert out the way. Rayo Valenzuela versus Edwin de los Santos. Who's going to make the adjustments necessary? You know, Edwin de los Santos probably feels like he doesn't have to make any adjustments because he was the one who came out victorious at the end of the night. You know what I mean? But, you know, Edwin de los Santos just came off of a loss against Shakur Stevenson. You know what I mean? So he might be looking to bounce back and, you know, get back on the winning column and, you know, really put his all into this training camp. And I'm sure he's under the impression that Rayo Valenzuela wants revenge. So he got to be on his toes and just make sure that he's putting his all into his training camp and going about things the right way. Rayo Valenzuela, on the other hand, like I said, he's looking for revenge. He wants to right that wrong. And so that's going to give him a whole different type of motivation moving forward. You know what I mean? He just came off of a spectacular knockout against Chris Colbert, man. Chris Colbert was sleeping at John. You know what I mean? So he probably trying to replicate that last performance, you know, so he could be in line to possibly be the next one to fight Gervonta Davis. You know what I mean? Because that might possibly be a thing. You know, if Edwin de los Santos were to continue the winning formula against Rayo Valenzuela, then he might be a possible candidate for Gervonta Davis as well, because they're both in the 135-pound contest. And like Leonard Ellaby said, Gervonta Davis is a 135-pounder. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he were to select either one of them dudes, being that it's an in-house fight, you know, and stuff of that nature. Do I think they're deserving of it? Absolutely not. But, you know, that's a totally different conversation. So, overall, the card is lit, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I hope that they come out with the news soon. And that if that ends up being true, then, you know, that's definitely pay-per-view worthy in my opinion. You know what I mean? Now, what the price should be, that's a different discussion. But regardless, man, I'm putting my money up. I'm definitely tuning in because these are some great fights, and they all happen to be on the same card. And if you break it down, honestly, man, each one of these fights could be a main event on themselves. You know what I mean? Not a pay-per-view main event per se, but main events in general. You know what I mean? Rayo Valenzuela versus Edwin de los Santos. You know, both of these guys, you know, they ringing bells right now in the lightweight division. That'll be a great main event for like a, you know, a free PBC type card. You know what I mean? David Benavidez, Alexander Volzdik. David Benavidez is extremely popular. You know what I mean? His name definitely ringing bells in Mexico and the States, you know, the overall boxing world, especially since his name is tied to Canelo Alvarez at this point in time. So he could definitely headline an event on his own, and he's done it multiple times before. And of course, Gervonta Davis, one of the biggest stars in boxing, you know, he's headlined several pay-per-view events, and this just happens to be another one that's, you know, on the way. You know what I mean? So great fight overall, man. Shout out to PBC and Al Heyman for making this fight happen. And shout out to all the fighters that's willing to take these challenges, because each one of these fights can be tough depending on, you know, what game plans are you know, what I'm trying to say is these fights could be tough for either one of the fighters because stylistically, you know, they both got things, both sides got things that they could use to give the other fighter trouble. You see what I mean? Like Frank Martin, he could be a problem to Gervonta Davis just as much as Gervonta could be a problem to Frank Martin. And that's how you know you have a competitive fight. You know, I can say the same thing for Volzdik and Benavidez and Rayo and Edwin de los Santos. You know what I mean? So that's how you know you got an action-packed card. You know, I'm really looking forward to seeing who becomes the victors out of each one of those fights, you know. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this here, man. Jose Benavidez Sr. tells you on Mill City Boxing, Gervonta Davis, Frank Martin will be the headline. David Benavidez versus Alexander Volzdik will be on the card. Following with Rayo Valenzuela versus Edwin de los Santos, part 2, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Is it lit? Is it not? Is it pay-per-view worthy? Is it not? Y'all let me know in the comments below. This is Mazuma TV. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm out of here, man. Peace.